As you are coming back, feel free to write in the chat an example or two of how you recrafted your words. I hope you used your resources in the workbook. And if not in the chat, then feel free to raise your hand and we'll call on you to share. How can we use recovery language? Anyone care to put in the chat or say it out loud? Not everybody's back, huh?
No, there's still
Okay.
No, not yet.
We're coming.
7 seconds.
I'm just anxious.
You just want to hear what everybody came up
I
with.
do.
To add
I
it to
want
your
to hear
list.
what people came up with. So I think now everyone is back. And look, some people are posting already. The result of his drug test from the weekend was positive. Okay, instead of dirty, we could say the result was positive. Anyone else, either raise your hand or put in the chat, what words did you come up with? Anybody? It looks like the CLTs came back negative. Beautiful. Nothing stigmatizing there. Your urinalysis was positive for cocaine. Okay. And I'm going to give you some examples that I'll share with you. He is still in denial. He is ambivalent. Of you 10 people coming into this program, only one will make it. I know, I heard that. How about this? Recovery is the expectation for everyone. Wow, wouldn't that instill hope? Anybody got a hand up that I'm not seeing, Danella?
No, not at this time.
That's okay. Here's one. I've been clean for 15 years. We hear that. I learned to say I have been 15 years in long-term recovery. Okay. I'm a person in recovery. I love it. So I'm reading from the chat and I'm going to share with you. How about she sure is showing oppositional behavior. She's choosing not to participate at this time. She's just a criminal, a drug offender. She's a person who is a returning citizen. Medication to assist recovery is just a crutch. How about medication assisted treatment is a tool to support recovery? I see not an addict. You don't say I'm an addict. You say I'm a person in active and sustained recovery. I hope you're hearing the difference in the words, because our words are so important. And I hope this exercise just at least got you thinking, what words could I use instead to promote healing? Because words have power. Words are important. If you want to care for something, you call it a flower. If you want to kill something, you call it a weed. And we have been weeds for far too long. That quote, by the way, is from Don Coyhis. I hope you'll explore who he is. He is from the White Bison and Wellbriety movement. And this is a quote from him. So our words can help us bloom. So I'm hoping we see more blooming as we move forward. So what's in a message and what's not? Now we're getting to the meat here. And I'm going to start with what's not in a message. This is what I don't want to hear when we start practicing. So we're not going to say, I know you might say it in a 12-step room, but we're not going to say it when we're practicing recovery-oriented language. We don't say I'm an addict or I'm a recovering addict. When people hear the words addict or alcoholic, it reinforces an idea of a revolving door. This is based on research. And it implies that the person is not done using. We don't include information about a particular pathway or 12-step program. Our message doesn't get into that. we accept all pathways. And we also want to be very cognizant of protecting anonymity and people's concerns about anonymity. We don't say addiction is a disease. We don't have the time all the time to get into whether it's a disease or a health problem, so we don't even mention that. And we don't do a formal definition of recovery. We talk about recovery from just our own perspective. Okay, so recovery for me means freedom and choice. And I'm going to give you more examples of what's in a message. But in general, I want you to think about this as you're crafting your message today. You want to make it personal, simple, present tense. When you heard me use recovery messaging, if you were here when I introduced myself, I made it personal, present tense. I used recovery language. I talked about the stability, my life in recovery, not all the details about the chaos of my addiction. And so we want to keep it very simple. Hopefully I created a message of hope, because that is the bottom line. My introduction will be included as one of several examples for you. But let's look at what are the key components of a message. Now, you have a worksheet, so this will guide you through it. But as you're crafting yours, and you're going to have a little bit of time to do that today, I want you to think about, how do you identify yourself? Are you a person in long-term recovery? Are you an ally? Are you a friend? Are you a policymaker? And who are you talking to? Who is your audience? Is it judges? Is it a legislator? Why does your audience care? Think about that and hone in on why they care. What experiences will they relate to? Were you homeless and now you have a stable home? Are you no longer in prison? Did you get your children back or pay taxes? Or maybe your family member who is in recovery has done these things. Are there any myths you need to dispel? Maybe you've heard once an addict, always an addict, and you know that your audience believes that. There's something you can include to counter that. Another myth is, well, I can't do anything to help this person until they're ready. The fact is, we can do a lot. And maybe you can include in your message some of the recovery supports that can help connect someone to the gift and the miracle of recovery. What else? What do you want them to know or do? If depends on who you're talking to. Maybe you just want them to learn about recovery. And what do you want them to know about you when you're done? Okay, so are you advocating for a budget increase or a grant or legislation? And what do you want them to know? Recovery's real, and I contribute to society. That's what I like to leave them with. So I'm going to give you a chance to prepare your message. Before I do that, there's a worksheet. It's going to walk you through this on page 13 and 14. If you don't have the worksheet, we're going to post it now in the chat so you can download it. Worst case scenario, just think about some of these things that I said. How do you identify? Who are you talking to? Why do they care? And you'll be able to get a message. Now, I want to give you some tips before we do this. And keep in mind, who is my audience? What do I want them to think, feel, and do? And if you do that, you're going to be on the right road. I've also included examples, several on pages 15 or 16, and you're welcome to copy that or at least kind of use it as a template, whatever works. I've included mine, but I've included several others so that you have some things to work with in that workbook of yours. With that, I really would like you to take 10 minutes or so to jot down your thoughts on this worksheet, pages 13 and 14, and create a recovery message of your own. I hope I've given you enough to do that. at least get a few sentences down so that when we do a pair share, you have something to share if you're comfortable. If you're not clear or you have questions, please post it in the chat so I can help you.
It's a bit loud, Tracy.
It's too loud. Thank you.
Or it was on my screen anyway.
Is that better?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Tracy, can you unmute? That accidentally turned the music off. I muted you by accident. Sorry. We lost your music.
What, Dallas?
So the music stopped playing.
I think it's just real quiet.
There it goes. Now I hear it.
Hey, everybody, at least write a few sentences because we're going to have a chance to practice. And think about, maybe you're talking to kids at a school, maybe you're just introducing yourself in a meeting. I've had to change my message many times depending on my audience.
We have a question in the chat room there, Tracy. What is the difference between saying in recovery versus in long-term recovery?
Stephanie, that is a great question. So in recovery is a beautiful way to say. Some of us are saying long-term recovery and there's no definition of when you can qualify for long-term. I know for me, when I got to 1 year, And I thought I was in long-term recovery because that was like a huge miracle for me. So some of us are saying long-term recovery, sustained recovery, or just I'm a person in recovery. I think the key is we're not saying I'm an addict. Or an alcoholic. That's where we're shifting to the word recovery, which we've learned, and especially long-term recovery. It's plant seeds. My goodness, it's not a revolving door. This is a person who has reclaimed their life. And in the recovery science language, they've found that using those. Stephanie, I hope I answered that adequately. And if there's someone in my audience who can speak to Stephanie and explain better than even me, then yes, please. Paola, I hope I said that right. What you just said was beautiful in here. We acknowledge setbacks as part of the recovery process without judgment. All of the words you just posted are so oriented around recovery language. Thank you so much. Saying someone had a setback. It's just a better energetic feel and a more healing than, oh, they relapsed yet again. They had a setback. All of us have setbacks. I don't care who you are in life.
You know, the one thing about forward-thinking setbacks is that you get back.
You get back.
As soon as you
Thank
can.
you, Merlin. My word wizard. Merlin is a word wizard for those of you who don't know. I like to identify myself as someone who loves to continue to live, learn, and share. Yes, I love this. I'm probably preaching to the choir here with all of you. But for some of us, I just hope it serves as a reminder to be more cognizant of our language choices.
The thing I would add is you're going to think about this because I just believe in using setback instead of relapse, but it's not just that. There is a combination that works with that. It's that if you've had a setback, get back on track ASAP.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's so important that if someone does have a setback, they know it's just a launching point to get back. All those seeds have been planted. And it's an opportunity I know for me, the one setback I had was the most profound learning experience for me because I had so many seeds planted and it was about 3 months in. And boy, did I have something to compare it to. And so I never looked back after that setback. It really launched me forward.
Since this is a favorite subject, let me say that I've just been uncomfortable with relapse for a long time because of the first two letters, re. What does it mean? Repeat, redo, what? It means you've done it before, and that may not be the case.
That's right. Well said, Merlin. How many people need a little more time? We have like 2 more minutes. Is that going to be good? Here's Stephanie's. I'm a sister, daughter, and mental health provider who has the opportunity to walk besides people who are in recovery. Oh my goodness, you need to start going to the legislature and speaking to our policymakers. That was beautiful. And my timekeeper says we have like 1 more. It's time. She's telling me it's time. Okay. So I hope you've all had a chance at least just to jot down a few sentences. Don't worry if it's not.